What is the one thing that is keeping you from getting to that next level? A lot of times in our career, we get in this treadmill, doing the same thing over and over again on our path to bigger and better things. But a lot of the times, we don't get the results that we want. So we have to think long and hard and ask ourselves, like, what's up? Like, what can I do to get myself to the next level? For other people, it could be just even getting started. The reasoning behind when I made this video is I was thinking to myself of like the major turning points, the major game changers in my career that have sort of made all the difference and started me up a path of continuous learning and continuous change. A few years ago, I read a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, where it's a big book on productivity and work-life balance. The premise of the whole book is, what's the one thing that you could do that'll make so-and-so better? You know, it could make your workday better, it could make your work-life balance better, your time at home better. Just think of things as simplest as possible and take action from there. There's a section in the book called The 4 Productivity Thieves, and one of them stands out, and it's that your environment doesn't support your goals. And that's ultimately the two biggest things that has changed my career. The first was when I quit my job at my local go-karting track. And for those of you that don't know, I used to work at the go-karting track down the road, AMR Motorplex. It's home of the SCUSA Winter Series. It used to be home of the Florida Winter Tour. It's a fairly recognized karting track in the winter time especially. And I worked there for a year just as a flagger, and both on the pro track and also the rental track. Eventually I got tired of being on the sidelines and I wanted to be part of the action. So in my spare time I would work with the race teams that are there when I can. Eventually I got to the point where the race teams wanted me to work for them full time. At the time I assumed it was because I was doing a good job. Looking back, it probably could have been because it was cheap labor. I didn't know much, but keep that in mind whenever you're going through this journey in your career. And I said to myself, I can't be a flagger forever. Sooner or later, I have to be a race engineer. So I did the difficult thing and I decided to quit my job as a flagger. At the time, it was difficult because I had good job security, you know, a reliable paycheck every week. Nobody could just stop calling me to come in for work whenever they wanted to. I had minimum hours every week. I could pay my bills reliably, not worry about anything. But it really wasn't what I wanted. I knew that I had to start getting some hands-on experience in the racing world for me to get to where I want to be. I also had a pretty good boss, someone who always kept his word, very hard worker. One of the things was I just didn't want to disappoint anybody by just quitting. And you might have to go through that too. In general, sometimes we just have to do what's difficult for ourselves. And I've learned that nobody's going to put you down for it. At least the right people won't. So you should just do what's best for you, and they'll understand. If they don't, that person wasn't for you and shouldn't be in your life, if that's the case. And in the end, you'll be glad you did it, because you'll see how far you've come after that and realize you probably should have done it sooner, or just be glad in general that you did it. One of the reasons why it could be so hard is because it might be part of your identity. At that time, I was accepting of the fact that I was a flagger, and I had to accept that I had to kill that old part of me and walk into new awkward territory, and that is becoming a go-kart mechanic. So yeah, I quit my job there, and I stuck with I kept doing the go-karting mechanic thing for a while. I found myself doing occasional Formula car opportunities. And during the pandemic, I decided to take that to the next level and go full time at it, but the pandemic hit, and I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't know what direction the industry was going in, so I decided to stick around and kept being a go-kart mechanic for the time being. And it wasn't until last year that I had this voice in my head that kept telling me that I have to stick with cars. I have to stick with cars. But I wasn't really sure how that would happen. Eventually I got a phone call from an old race team I used to work with when I first started my career. I think even before I was a flagger at AMR, and they needed help. And that gave me the opportunity to start working around with cars consistently, and I realized it wasn't so bad. And that's another thing you might see once you do that one thing that'll take you to the next level. If fear is something that's preventing you from doing that, once you do it, you realize that it wasn't so bad after all, whatever it may be. Other times you might have to break that one thing into little steps and challenges and take it at it in a step-by-step process. And again, like I said, it probably won't be as bad as you think. So, but you'll never know until you try. It's like diving into the deep end of the pool. You just got to do it. So I was let go from that team for no inexplicable reason at all. I have a feeling it was just they preferred someone cheaper to pay. I don't know. To this day, I don't know, but I'm glad that happened. And then 2023 started, this year obviously. And I said to myself, this has to be the year that I stop working in go-karting. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm going to figure it out. Time is our most valuable resource, and I've realized that I can't keep allocating any more time in go-karting. I have to stay in this formula racing environment, because the more you hang out at the track, the more you learn certain things. I had gotten to the point in my go-karting career where I wasn't learning at the track anymore. And to me, that's not a good thing. I had a friend that said a very true statement. A day at the track where you don't learn anything is a wasted day. Those days were coming more and more repeatedly, and I realized that I'm wasting all this time. I could have been in the formula side learning things. And that was the second thing that helped me take my career to the next level, was finally putting a halt on all the go-karting activities and taking the plunge into the formula world for good. But before that happened, something critical happened that may happen to you. And I got tested. What do I mean by that? Sometimes if you're religious or whatever, God or life or whoever may be will test you. And that happened to me on 2 occasions just before leaving the go-karting industry. One of the things that I had always wanted was to stop jumping from team to team and either have a consistent team or a consistent driver that would hire me all the time. At the beginning of this year, I got that opportunity with a good driver. His parents really liked me as a mechanic. Their son had special needs, and my personality mixed well with his. And also they liked that I was the type of mechanic to always do what I can to take him to the next level every time he went out on track. That was attractive to them, and they wanted to have me as their consistent mechanic. And that was really attractive to me, but I had to say to myself, no, remember, you're here for the formula cars. You're here for the next level. So I had to reluctantly say no to their offer for me to be their permanent mechanic. And then a few weeks later, another opportunity just like that came about, where I had a new up and coming driver with a lot of funding behind them. It seemed like they were gonna do plenty of different races this year in the go-karting world, in multiple different classes all over the country. And that to me was very attractive. But again, their goals weren't aligning with mine. And I had to do, again, the difficult thing of telling them no, even though it was a good opportunity. And I even had their coach and their father convince me otherwise, but that one was even more difficult. Not only was I telling myself no, but I had other people try to convince me otherwise. You could say I was that good. They really wanted to keep me. But I was firm with my answer, and I decided no, I can't do this. It's not that I didn't want to, and it was difficult because it was a good opportunity, but I knew what I wanted in the future, and this wasn't going to do it for me. And you shouldn't be afraid to say no to some things like that for being bad. You have to have your boundaries for your career. You have to have your boundaries for a lot of things. No one should criticize you for that. And if they do, they're not the right person in your life, and you shouldn't associate yourself with them in any way. To this day, I'm good friends with both of those people that I mentioned. I don't see them often, but when I do, it's nothing but love. And you should always, I can't say you should have that expectation, because not everybody's the same, and you're gonna be let down if you were to see things like that. But just know that no bad should ever come with you telling someone no, so long as that you do it with your own best interest at heart. And so yeah, those were 2 times where I had to do one thing that would help me get myself to the next level, and that was quitting my job and leading my industry in a specific direction, which was the formula world. They say success is exponential. It's not linear. that once you get the ball rolling, it will go rolling fast. And after I did those two things, I noticed that a lot of things started happening and changing for me for the better. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to work on this quick video while I am doing the vlogs. I'm gonna be coming out with that very soon. It's a little bit more in depth with my day-to-day life. But what is the one thing that you need to do to get your career or your life to the next level? I'm curious to see. Maybe we can help each other out. Drop a comment. And also, please don't forget to like and subscribe this video. It's going to help me out with a ton of other projects that I got in mind. Remember, I'm here to help. So any suggestions, any comments that you'd like me to address, I'm going to be happy to do it. Until then, see you next time.